Now streaming on ABC News Live, 2020, true crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable, follow the clues, The Hunt, true crime, 2020, now streaming on ABC News Live.
Let's talk about OnlyFans.
Instagram, but for porn.
OnlyFans is massively a part of the pop culture zeitgeist right now.
OnlyFans have definitely enabled us to call the shots. Anyone can come in from the ground floor and start making money.
A lot of celebrities doing OnlyFans.
Cardi B, Chris Brown.
Bella Thorne.
Within 24 hours, she made $1 million.
You either love me or you hate me.
Think of it as like an online playground.
OnlyFans, selling sexy, exclusively on Hulu.
It was an extraordinary story.
A computer salesman was supposed to report to prison to begin a 17-year sentence.
They let him turn himself into jail with no escort.
No one thought he would run.
How do they catch her for 25 years? How do you do that?
Now, join the search, following the U.S. Marshals as they uncover new leads in a global manhunt. Can you help catch this fugitive?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man? Listen and join the all-new Hunt wherever you get your podcasts.
Take America's #1 news with you, anywhere you go, anytime, free. Download the ABC News app now. Breaking news, exclusives, 24/7, there for you with one touch. The ABC News app, download it now.
Okay, now, I love me some GMA so much. Time for me to do, well, a little GMA-ish promo. Ready? GMA 7A every day. Boom, boom, boom.
Bring your friends.
Yes, now we're talking. That's how you start the day with Robin, George, Michael, and GMA. Starting sharp at 7A every day. So go on, just say,
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America. You know it's America's #1 morning show, people.
Bring your friends.
The hottest news in daytime are happening right here.
We talk about things on this show that people don't talk about.
That I can't wait to see.
Honest takes from strong women.
We need all hands on deck, and we need it right now.
This is the time to speak out. Unafraid to get real.
Stick by our points of view.
We're all seeing it differently, and that's the beauty of The View.
And that's why the most watched #1 daytime talk show is The View. Now streaming on ABC News Live. Is that the gun?
That's not the guy.
What is it? I won't ask you again then. Are you a Nazi?
The deeper you go into black markets,
People to your life like this.
the darker it gets.
Why hasn't anyone come out and spoken?
It's about the money. That's all I'm doing.
Trafficked. New episodes Wednesdays at 9 on National Geographic.
Now with so much on the line, more Americans are turning to David Muir and ABC's World News Tonight than any other program across all of television.
Of Ukraine is vowing that his country will defend itself against an all-out assault by Russia.
And despite Russia's military might and history of aggression to the people of Ukraine, those people of Ukraine are refusing to back down. This morning, Ukrainians remaining defiant in the face of Russian President Vladimir Putin as the crisis takes a turn toward war. ABC's Matt Gutman speaking with one Ukrainian along the border in Poland Wednesday who says economic penalties from the West will suffocate Putin.
He will be pushed into a corner by the sanctions and by the fact that his own oligarchs will be deprived of the wealth, and they themselves will push him into a corner.
But I mean, sometimes if you go pushed into a corner and go, wow, you attack.
The man tells Matt it's not a problem, adding this is a more grown-up version of Ukraine, with a proper military, as opposed to 2014 when Putin's military seized Crimea, a peninsula on Ukraine's southern front. Putin has been in power unopposed since 1999, even altering constitutional term limits to hold his grip on the country.
Many Russians actually like the fact that he kind of shows to the West that Russia is not, is not a rug under the Western feet.
Nina Khrushcheva is the great-granddaughter of Nikita Khrushchev, a former strongman who led the Soviet Union. She believes Putin is playing the long game.
Russia suffers from a tremendous superiority complex because of its size and its history and its potential, and also tremendous inferiority complex precisely because it's never really accepted into being a European country.
In the 1970s, Putin joined the KGB, the Soviet Union's secret police, becoming a mid-level spy, eventually the chief of Russia's counterintelligence agency. And although the KGB was technically disbanded when the Soviet Union fell, Putin's experience as an intelligence officer, watching the Soviet Union dissolve, made its mark. Earlier this week, he claimed the Soviet Union was robbed of land.
We talk about the way that the collapse of the Soviet Union is within living memory. It's important to remember that with Putin, that is lived memory, not living memory, lived memory. So these are events that he remembers personally and is angry about. He remembers the Soviet period when Russia and Ukraine were one, and he feels that was right and it should be restored.
Well, we have a lot to cover here. What's going on in Ukraine and Russia. The AP is now reporting that Russia's military says it has knocked out Ukraine's air defense assets and air bases. Of course, this all started overnight. It's about, 10 a.m. right now in Ukraine as citizens there brace for what would be described as an invasion or even possibly war.
And in just a few hours, Biden is meeting with his G7 counterparts to discuss a response. We can expect more crippling sanctions to be geared towards Russia. And Senator Mark Warner saying that Russians will pay for Putin's reckless ambitions. And we also know that Ukrainians were hit with a series of cyber attacks starting yesterday. Some of them couldn't access their banks. So this is going to have ramifications on both sides of the border.
And then on top of that, Ukraine has now declared martial law because of this invasion. Meanwhile, here in the United States, President Biden is vowing further consequences, like you mentioned, and more sanctions are expected.
President Zelensky saying the world is with us.
It was an extraordinary story.
A computer salesman was supposed to report to prison to begin a 17-year sentence.
They let him turn himself into jail with no escort.
No one thought he would run.
How do they catch her for 25 years? How do you do that?
Now, join the search, following the U.S. Marshals as they uncover new leads in a global manhunt. Can you help catch this fugitive?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man? Listen and join the all-new Hunt wherever you get your podcasts.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
Seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
But to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live.
We're surrounded by people
Squeezing into this bomb shelter.
Run, urgent delivery, run.
Not afraid to go there.
So my question is, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Breaking news, live events.
This is the moment.
Streaming straight to you, anytime, anywhere.
You just met one friend right here.
You're watching ABC News Live. Thanks for streaming with us.
Take America's #1 news with you, anywhere you go, anytime, free. Download the ABC News app now. Breaking news, exclusives, 24/7. There for you with one touch. The ABC News app. Download it now.
We move up to the vehicle. He detonates a bomb.
The heroes who stopped the killer, who held the city of Austin hostage for 19 days.
It's a tripwire. All hands on deck.
The clues, the Home Depot video, that truck, and the agent who connected the dots.
It was exactly the vehicle that we were looking for.
Inside the investigation,
Advance made contact.
the takedown of the bomber. Now streaming on Hulu.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you? Yeah.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do? I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than anyplace else. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast, now streaming on ABC News Live.
All right, let's lighten things up this morning with the mix, starting with a surprise drive-by for a TV reporter. Don't worry, it's a good one.
This is my favorite viral story of the week. Miles Harris from our affiliate in Columbus, Ohio, WSYX, was in the middle of recording what we call an on-camera stand-up for a report in the field when he spots a familiar car approaching.
This is my mom. Hold on. I'm trying to work right now. You're over there calling my phone. This is D'Angelo. You can say hi. And don't be holding up traffic because you got cars behind you.
Yeah, that's his mom video bombing in the background. Harris like a joke on social media that this wasn't out of the ordinary for his mom. Mom ever show up to your live shots?
No, she didn't, but maybe this is motivating me that I need to report in my hometown, so maybe one day when I'm in San Diego. Well, next, to a life-changing day for nearly 2,000 students in Chicago.
Students at the Benito Juarez Community Academy were informed that all 1,700 of them will receive full scholarships. Awesome. A nonprofit group called Hope Chicago says that will include tuition, room and board, books, which is like more than tuition itself, fees, and all of that, okay, at one of the group's 20 partner colleges across the state.
This is awesome. The gift of education. 4 other Chicago public schools will hear the same news this week for free rides for a total of 4,000 students.
And I think it's important to note, yeah, it's not just the tuition, right? It's the room and board and everything else, because that's where it starts to add up. Trust me. All right, next to a stunning discovery.
Archaeologists have discovered this colorful Roman mosaic in the middle of London.
Yeah, experts believe the mosaic was once the floor of a Roman dining room. Oh man, I wonder what that floor got to see and hear.
Right.
So it was the floor of a dining room, they think, of an upscale motel catering to state couriers and officials traveling to and from London.
This is incredible. The mosaic is the largest of its kind found in the city in more than 50 years. And in fact, it's being described as a once-in-a-lifetime found. It looks pretty intact, too.
Yeah, it always intrigues me how scientists, archaeologists discover things like this so late. Like, we're still discovering things from the Roman Empire. That's awesome.
It hit me when I was in Cairo and I realized, like, there's so much that we know or even think we know, and there's so much more that we still don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so stay with us for much more information from Ukraine throughout the morning on America This Morning and Good Morning America.
That's the news for this half hour. Stay with us.
It's an extraordinary story.
A computer salesman was supposed to report to prison to begin a 17-year sentence.
They let him turn himself into jail with no escort.
No one thought he would run.
How do you evade capture for 25 years? How do you do that?
Now, join the search, following the U.S. Marshals as they uncover new leads in a global manhunt. Can you help catch this fugitive?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man? Listen and join the all-new hunt wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's talk about OnlyFans.
Instagram, but for porn.
OnlyFans is massively a part of the pop culture zeitgeist right now.
OnlyFans has definitely enabled us to call the shots. Anyone can come in from the ground floor and start making money.
A lot of celebrities doing OnlyFans. Cardi B, Chris Brown.
Bella Thorne.
Within 24 hours, she made $1 million.
You either love me or you hate me.
I think it was like an online playground.
OnlyFans, selling sexy, exclusively on Hulu. This is GMA3, what you need to know. GMA3.
A third hour of Good Morning America in the afternoon.
It's all about you. Lunchtime on ABC.
This is American history, a violent white mob, a brutal attack, 300 black Americans killed right here in America. Now, it is time to uncover Tulsa's very truth. The gripping story brought to light in a new podcast from ABC News. Available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
Is that the gun?
That's not a gun.
What is it? I won't ask you again then. Are you a Nazi?
The deeper you go into the black markets,
People see a life like this.
the darker it gets.
Why hasn't anyone come out and spoken?
It's about the money. That's all I'm doing.
Trafficked. New episodes Wednesdays at 9 on National Geographic.
Breaking overnight on World News Now. After weeks of buildup, Russia attacks Ukraine. Air raid sirens sounding in Ukraine's capital, blasts heard in other cities. Russia admitting to attacking military facilities with missiles. Overnight, President Biden talking to Ukraine's leader as drama played out at the United Nations. The latest from Ukraine and what's expected in the day ahead.
Here at home, the dangerous weather making a mess of roads and now heading toward the northeast. The latest from AccuWeather.
The school bus ending up like this, what police are saying about how it overturned.
Tom Brady's big announcement, setting his sights on Hollywood.
And a closer look at life in Ukraine, its differences and its similarities with Russia, which has just invaded. It's Thursday, February 24th.
From ABC News, this is World News Now.
Good Thursday morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's get right to that breaking news. The attack on Ukraine now officially underway.
Explosions could be heard overnight across Ukraine. Russia saying it's targeting military facilities. Ukraine's border service says that Russian and Belarusian troops have attacked from Belarus just 50 miles from the capital, Kyiv, and there are casualties. The attack coming after Russian President Vladimir Putin declared what he's calling a special military operation. He made the announcement at the same time the UN Security Council was holding an emergency session urging Russia to back away from the brink of war.
Putin claims the military action is aimed at protecting the rebel-held regions of eastern Ukraine and called on Ukrainians to drop their weapons. Here's a live look at Kyiv this morning, where explosions have been heard overnight and where officials have labeled the Russian operation a full-scale invasion, forcing the Ukrainian president to declare martial law. ABC's Zareen Shah starts us off.
Early morning explosions heard in the Ukraine capital of Kyiv, belying their weeks of insistent claims that they had no plans to invade Ukraine, instead blaming the U.S. and its allies for the crisis. Russia moving into forward positions and crossing the Ukrainian border. Just hours before the invasion, Ukraine's president denouncing Russia's claim that Ukraine is a threat and emphasizing again Ukraine doesn't want war, making a plea for peace. Zelensky speaking in Russian to appeal directly to their population. Those pleas for an end to the escalating crisis blatantly ignored. ABC News learning that Zelensky called President Vladimir Putin only to be met with silence. The invasion now triggering fresh concerns of an all-out war. Russian state news reporting that the two Kremlin-controlled separatist regions inside Ukraine that Putin declared as independent requested help from Putin and the Russian military in taking on Ukrainian forces.
This is right out of the Russian playbook. To manufacture a provocation as a justification for invading Ukraine.
For weeks, President Biden warned an attack was imminent. And day after day, satellite images from private company Maxar showed the continued buildup of Russian resources, troops, and supplies along the Ukrainian border. The U.S. and its allies imposing new sanctions after Germany said it would not certify that new controversial gas pipeline from Russia to Germany, Nord Stream 2. And President Biden has now sanctioned the company that built it. Russia undeterred by the sanctions. The U.S. now prepared to follow through their series of warnings to Vladimir Putin. Massive penalties, like export controls on critical technologies and full blocking sanctions of Russia's major banks.
It won't be bloodless. There will be suffering, there will be sacrifice. And all of that must and should be laid at his feet.
President Biden planning to meet with the G7 Thursday morning. That meeting now with a heightened urgency after Russia attacked Ukraine. In Washington, Zoreen Shah, ABC News.
Zareen, thank you. President Biden is expected to announce more sanctions against Russia today, and he's expected to address the American people this afternoon.
For more details on what Russia's initial game plan might be, we turn to ABC contributor and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Steve Ganyard.
The city of Kharkiv, the second largest city in Ukraine, about 1.4 million people, was one of Russia's targets. They also said this little town down here called Kherson is the other target. So he said, why would those be the two? This is the port city that empties on to the Black Sea, controls all of this key economic waterway that Putin, if he held this, would be able to squeeze Ukraine in a way that he could essentially economically strangle the country.
The economic toll already being felt in Ukraine. This is a video from Odessa this morning. Long lines at gas stations there.
Americans are already seeing higher gas prices and could see food prices rising even higher because of the situation in Ukraine and Russia. That's because Russia is the world's top wheat exporter, and together with Ukraine, the two countries account for almost 30% of the global wheat export market. A disruption in that supply could result in higher prices for consumers. Also overnight, indicators are predicting a sharp drop on Wall Street. Stock futures pointing to losses of at least 2% on all the major averages. We'll have much more from Ukraine throughout the morning, including our full team in the region with live reports on Good Morning America.
Now to the morning's other big stories. Two prosecutors in a key case against former President Trump have abruptly resigned. Now there are questions as to whether the probe is over. Carrie Dunn and Mark Pomerantz were leading the Manhattan District Attorney's investigation into Trump's business dealings. According to the New York Times, they were upset their boss, Alvin Bragg, raised doubts about pursuing the case. Trump's attorney says he believes the investigation is over.
In the fight against the coronavirus, there's new guidance about spacing out vaccine shots. The CDC now recommends that most Americans wait up to 8 weeks between their 2 shots of Pfizer or Moderna vaccines instead of 3 to 4 weeks. The agency says there's evidence the longer gap may boost antibodies higher. It may also further reduce the small risk of heart inflammation in males between ages 12 and 39.
Now to the winter storm that's going to be felt from Texas to the northeast throughout the day today. Icy roads will be a problem this morning from Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas into the Ohio Valley. This storm forcing more than 4,000 flight delays yesterday. And overnight, delays are mounting. AccuWeather's Kevin Cosgren has our forecast. Kevin?
Good morning, Mona. Tricky travel conditions on Thursday across East Texas into the southern and central plains from Dallas to Wichita, St. Louis. We're going to have freezing rain and snow. Be careful on the roads, folks. And this ice storm means business from Thursday morning in Texas, Thursday afternoon in southern parts of the Ohio Valley, and eventually into Friday, Pittsburgh, New York City, southern New England. Going to see some slippery, icy roads. Meantime, the snowstorm is formidable. From Thursday in Chicago to Friday in New England, we'll see several inches of snow. Could see more than a foot north and west of Boston. Back to you, Mona and Andrew.
Kevin, thank you. Now to a couple of wildlife close encounters, both of them from my home state, Florida.
That's right. Check out that huge hammerhead shark swimming right under people on 2 paddle boards. The drone footage was shot off Palm Beach. Stay on your boards, people.
Well, we talk about this all the time. This is why I don't like to venture too far into the ocean. And those are zoo handlers recapturing a crocodile that had escaped from... It escaped from a van. The animal was being transported from one area of a zoo in St. Augustine to another. It broke a window, ran down the road before being secured. This is, again, just like, you know, your average Wednesday afternoon.
Clearly, because people are just driving by like, oh, yep, just data problems.
Why, would you want to stop? Maybe help?
No, absolutely not. But it's just how... It's not unusual, right? Like, no, it's just, I mean, it is, but I'm saying like, watching the video, it's like, we do want to note that its mouth was taped closed, so there was a lot less danger. But I showed Andrew a video the other day about why people in Florida have gates around their backyards.
Yes. It's gators. To keep critters and gators out of your backyard, yeah.
All right, coming up, Tom Brady's big blitz into Hollywood.
Plus, the tennis player kicked out of the Mexican Open after this outburst.
And we're monitoring the unfolding crisis in Ukraine, the full-scale Russian invasion as dozens of explosions rock the nation's capital and other cities. You're watching World News Now.
It was an extraordinary story.
A computer salesman was supposed to report to prison to begin a 17-year sentence.
They let him turn himself into jail with no escort.
No one thought he would run.
How do they capture for 25 years? How do you do that?
Now, join the search, following the U.S. Marshals as they uncover new leads in a global manhunt. Can you help catch this fugitive?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man? Listen and join the all-new hunt wherever you get your podcast. Admit it. These days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it.
Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
World News Now.
And America This Morning.
The best new video.
Breaking news overnight.
Your money and concerns about inflation.
The pandemic is not over.
The stories people are talking about.
You don't want to shake your legs? Don't. I was say. And what to expect in the day ahead.
From the top of the world, baby! ABC World News Now and America This Morning.
Weekday morning starting at 2 a.m. Eastern.
Up all night to keep you up to date.
Let's talk about OnlyFans.
Instagram, but for porn.
OnlyFans is massively a part of the pop culture zeitgeist right now.
OnlyFans has definitely enabled us to call the shots. Anyone can come in from the ground floor and start making money.
A lot of celebrities doing OnlyFans. Cardi B, Chris Brown.
Bella Thorne. Within 24 hours, she made $1 million.
You either love me or you hate me.
Think of it as like an online playground.
OnlyFans, selling sexy, exclusively on Hulu.
I know what happened, and I'm not guilty. Why the fascination with criminal trials? Figure out what's really out there.
She revealed she had murdered his family.
I know in my heart they did this.
It's the time of suspicion. The ending's really tough. You don't know when the truth is going to be difficult to find unless you try to find it.